8 strikes to self-esteem that make you weak, and how to recover via Stoicism. Introduction. Have you ever stood before a mirror and felt that the man or woman reflected there was a stranger, a weak being slowly disintegrating under the pressure of nameless expectations? There are days when you wake up with a weight pressing down on your chest, not because of the burden of work, but because of a fading belief that you are not good enough, not skilled enough, and will never have enough value. We, as modern humans, are living in an unprecedented ontological crisis. We have everything at our fingertips, yet lose ourselves in the noise of social media, glamorous standards of success, and invisible judgments. The anxiety of falling behind, loneliness amidst a crowd, and the feeling of being just a meaningless cog in a giant machine are eroding your self-esteem day by day. It is a dull ache, a fracture from within your inner citadel. Welcome to the journey of reclaiming your lost power. Today we will not speak of empty consolations. We will together dissect the 8 most insidious strikes against self-esteem, the psychological and social mechanisms that silently make you weak and vulnerable. By combining the resilient Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca with the spiritual depths of Carl Jung's analytical psychology, we will rebuild a solid ego. This is a journey to explore the shadow, face the persona, and move toward individuation. Join me in uncovering the treasure trove of wisdom to turn your soul's scars into the bricks that build a new, awakened person. Please subscribe to the Stoicism Jungian channel, like, and share this video so we can spread the light of reason and self-understanding to souls searching for their path. Strike 1. Toxic comparison and the displacement of the ideal archetype. The first and most common strike against the self-esteem of modern humans is constant comparison. In the digital age, we no longer compare ourselves to our neighbors, but to the edited, perfect images of millions worldwide. Seneca once warned, "Our misery comes not from what we lack, but from what we see others have." When you look at someone else's success and feel inferior, you are performing an act of mental self-abuse. Stoic philosophy teaches that your self-esteem must be based on virtue, things within your control, not on the possessions or reputation of others. Epictetus emphasized, "If you desire anything outside your control, you will surely fail and suffer." From Carl Jung's perspective, comparison is the displacement of archetypes. Instead of seeking the hero or sage archetype from within for self-improvement, we project those ideals onto external individuals. You see someone else's sparkling persona, social mask, and mistake it for their entire being, then turn back to criticize your own raw shadow. This comparison creates a massive chasm between your current self and an unrealistic ideal. To recover, you must withdraw those projections. Understand that another's life is an entirely different trajectory. The only way to reclaim self-esteem in a Jungian style is to begin the process of individuation, accepting both your light and dark sides instead of trying to be a flawed copy of someone else. Remember Marcus Aurelius' words, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up, if thou wilt ever dig." Strike 2. The inner critic and the perennial guilt complex. Do you have a judge living in your head? It is the voice that always reminds you of past mistakes, always exaggerates flaws, and whispers that you are unworthy. This strike often stems from childhood trauma or internalized social pressure. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, taught us how to dialogue with our minds. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. If you allow self-destructive thoughts to take possession, your self-esteem will collapse like a rotting building. Stoics practice emotional detachment. They view a mistake simply as an event to be corrected by reason, not a life sentence for human value. Carl Jung called this critical voice the emergence of suppressed complexes. Often it is a combination of strict parental standards, and punitive archetypes in the collective unconscious. When you over-criticize yourself, you are feeding the shadow, turning it into an increasingly ferocious monster. To recover, Jung proposed that we practice active imagination, directly dialoguing with that judge. Ask it, what do you want from me? Why do you want me to suffer? Instead of running away, integrate it. Understand that guilt is often a false signal of conscience. Stoicism helps you use reason to filter. What is objective truth and what is the fabrication of fear? When you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your own mind, self-esteem will begin to revive from the ashes of self-judgment. Strike 3. The thirst for recognition and the trap of the social persona. Who do we live to please? The third strike against self-esteem is over-reliance on the recognition of others. When your value fluctuates according to the number of likes on social media or the praise of a superior, you have lost sovereignty over your soul. Epictetus spoke powerfully. If someone can make you angry, that person is your master. Similarly, if someone can make you feel valuable or worthless with just a word, they are your ruler. Weakness begins when you hand the key to your happiness to the crowd, a fleeting and prejudiced entity. Jung analyzed this through the concept of the persona. The persona is the mask we wear to communicate with the world, but danger occurs when we identify completely with that mask. You try to build a perfect image, an exemplary employee, a filial child, but inside you feel empty and fake. This falsity erodes self-esteem because it creates an underlying betrayal of the true self. To recover, Stoicism teaches us about inner self-sufficiency. You perform virtue for the sake of virtue, not for applause. Ask yourself, if no one saw what I did, would I still want to do it? When you begin to act based on internal principles rather than external expectations, the persona will return to its proper function as a communication tool rather than a prison for your essence. Self-esteem is most solid when it stands independent of the world's acclaim. When we stand amidst the storms of judgment and fear, remember that the strongest fortress is not far away, but right within your consciousness. Awakening is not a gift from the outside. It is the result of persistent practice. If these words are giving you strength, please subscribe to the Stoicism Jungian channel, like, and share to build a community of free and resilient souls with us. Strike 4. Fear of failure and the paralysis of will. Failure is often seen as a direct blow to self-esteem, but in reality, it is the fear of failure that makes you weak. It keeps you from committing, from challenging yourself, and ultimately leaves you stuck in a narrow comfort zone. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Stoics view failure as material for virtue. Marcus Aurelius had a famous principle: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When you view failure as an inevitable lesson rather than a personal humiliation, your self-esteem will never be shaken by external results. From a Jungian perspective, the fear of failure is often related to the ego's fear of losing control. The ego always wants to maintain an image of omnipotence and success. However, Jung argued that periods of crisis and failure are when the soul calls us to go deeper into the unconscious to find new potential. Failure is the death of an old persona so that a new, more complete person can be born. The process of individuation requires us to walk through the darkness of failure to achieve maturity. To recover, practice the Stoic method of pre-mortem malorum, contemplating the worst things that could happen. When you realize that even in the most disastrous failure, your rational nature and ability to choose remain, fear will lose its power. Self-esteem does not lie in always winning, but in always being ready to stand up after every fall with a more sober mindset. Strike 5. Clinging to the past in the ghosts of memory. Many of us carry low self-esteem because of ghosts from the past. It could be a betrayal, a serious mistake, or a humiliation you cannot let go. You define yourself by what has happened, rather than what you are choosing to become. Stoicism teaches amor fati, love your fate, not just accepting, but loving everything that has happened because it has molded who you are today. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, time is a river of events. No sooner is a thing seen than it is carried away, and another comes in its place, and this will be carried away too. Clinging to the past is an act against the natural flow of the universe. Jung viewed the past as a dwelling place of unresolved shadows. Old wounds often crystallize into powerful complexes, dominating your current actions from within the dark of the unconscious. If you do not face and integrate them, they will continue to appear in your life as fate. To recover self-esteem, you need to perform a soul archaeology. View past events not as burdens, but as archetypes of trial. When you understand the deep meaning of the pain you've endured, you will see that you are not a victim of the past, but a victor who survived it. True self-respect arises when you can look straight at your scars and say, "This is me, and I am still moving forward with full dignity." Strike 6, social isolation and the fear of rejection. Humans are social creatures, and a direct strike to self-esteem is often the feeling of being excluded or disliked. The fear of being rejected by the crowd is an ancient survival instinct. When you feel you don't belong anywhere, you easily fall into a state of inferiority and denial of self-worth. Marcus Aurelius taught about sympathia, the organic connection between all living beings in the universe. He believed we were born to work together like feet and hands, like upper and lower rows of teeth. However, he also affirmed that the acceptance of others is an indifferent thing. If society rejects you because you live with integrity, then it is society's loss, not yours. Carl Jung delved deeper into the concept of the collective unconscious. Isolation is sometimes a necessary stage of the individuation journey. To become a true individual, you often have to separate yourself from the herd mentality. Jung emphasized that trying to fit in at all costs only weakens the ego and makes you lose your identity. The recovery of self-esteem here comes from finding a connection with eternal values within yourself rather than temporary groups of people. When you are steady on your own path, you will attract truly like-minded individuals. Self-esteem does not need the approval of the majority. It needs your loyalty to the call of your own soul. Remember, the loneliest person is not the one who is alone, but the one who cannot stand themselves. Strike 7, emotional loss of control in the storm of animus. When you are easily provoked, angered, or devastated by small things, your self-esteem is damaged because you feel like a slave to your own emotions. This weakness makes you lose respect for yourself. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Stoics are not people without emotions, but people whose emotions are tempered by reason. They understand that emotions are just initial impressions, and we have the right to agree or refuse to be led by them. In Jungian psychology, uncontrolled emotional outbursts are often due to the invasion of the anima, the feminine side in men, or animus, the masculine side in women, when they have not been integrated. When a man becomes overly sentimental or a woman becomes irrationally aggressive, it is because hidden parts of the unconscious are seizing control of the ego. To recover self-esteem, you must learn to balance these two poles. Stoic awareness acts as an objective observer, helping you identify the emotional storm without being swept away by it. Focus on training for equanimity, ataraxia. Every time you maintain calm in the face of anger, you are accumulating another unit of self-esteem. Self-control is the crown of a strong soul. Strike 8, lack of meaning and ontological emptiness. The final and heaviest strike is the feeling that your life is meaningless. When you don't see the purpose of existence, self-esteem evaporates. You feel like a piece of aimless dust in the vast universe. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of man's role in the logos, the intellectual order of the universe. He believed each of us has a specific task, and performing that task with all our ability is the highest meaning. Meaninglessness only appears when you forget that you are part of the great whole. Jung called this the crisis of lacking a personal myth. Modern humans have lost connection with deep spiritual and symbolic meanings. The process of individuation is the journey to find that meaning again by listening to dreams, symbols, and the promptings of the self. Recovering self-esteem at this level requires you to dare to live a meaningful life in your own way, despite the void of the external world. When you find something greater than your small ego to serve, whether it is art, knowledge, or helping others, your self-esteem becomes immortal. Meaning is not something to be found. It is something you create through steadfastness and love for life. Every strike to self-esteem carries within it the seed of awakening. Do not fear wounds, for it is from them that the light of wisdom will pierce through your soul. Leave a comment about the strike you are facing. We are always here to accompany you. Don't forget to subscribe to the Stoicism Jungian channel, like, and share so this journey of awakening can continue forever. Conclusion. We have traveled a long journey together to identify the 8 sophisticated strikes silently eroding self-esteem in this era. From toxic comparisons and the inner critic to the loss of direction regarding life's meaning, or our harsh trials set by fate to forge your character. But remember, no external force can weaken you if you do not open the doors of your inner citadel to let them in. As Marcus Aurelius once affirmed, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The recovery of self-esteem is not about building a fake, arrogant ego, but the process of returning to your true nature. It is a harmonious combination of the sharp reason of a Stoic philosopher and the deep empathy of a Jungian psychologist. You need the courage to face the shadow, the clarity to remove ill-fitting personas, and the persistence to pursue the path of individuation. Do not expect the world to become easier or people to start respecting you more. Instead, train yourself to be more steadfast, so that when the storms of judgment or failure arrive, you still stand firm like a rocky island in the middle of a vast ocean. The final warning I want to give you is, never trade your integrity for a fake security. Damaged self-esteem can heal, but a soul betrayed by its own master is very difficult to find peace again. Start with the smallest things. Choose truth over a pleasing lie. Choose discipline over temporary laziness. And choose understanding over blind judgment. You are a microcosm containing infinite potential. Live worthy of the privilege of life and reason that you have been granted. When you have respected yourself through virtuous actions, the entire universe will have no choice but to respect you. Stand up, brush off the dust of old wounds, and begin walking the path of a free, awakened, and resilient human being. Stoicism Jungian. Light the reason, liberate the inner self.